smaller. I was fighting with that all day. Anyway, so now we have what we're working on. One of the things that we're working on, one of the many things that we're working on, is a new continent for PlanetSide 2. And this is the continent of Oshur. It's actually more like, if you look at PlanetSide 1, it's more similar to Sizor, but Oshur is a continent that is going to be mainly driven by multiple islands, and you will not have warp gates on this continent. You are instead going to have access to Bastion fleet carriers, and they will act as your pseudo warp gates. There will be multiple Bastion fleet carriers. Each side will have them. Potentially, they'll rotate around the map, potentially. But what that does is it gives us the opportunity to kind of spread the forces out, and you will be able to attack each base. There's a very limited lattice, less bases overall, more logistical play comes in here. So this is a very, very, very like rough, like work in progress. This is I think what I'm going to be showing you is basically the result of maybe 4 days of work, maybe.
Yeah.
Like
but there was
solid.
a lot more work just to actually allow you to put that 4 days of work in.
Right.
Yeah.
So much.
But we're past that. But now we can
Yeah.
actually like do work and start fleshing out the continent. Any blue that you see is just marking where water can potentially go. And yeah, this continent is going to be very have varied biomes. One that I'll show you earlier is or later is the crystal forest. We would be running around in this in person, but our environments aren't playing nice, so we'll get it to you in the future.
Next time.
Next time, for sure. But yeah, so Oshur. The some of the lore behind the continent is that, or actually you'll see this represented in the terrain in certain places, is that there is at the heart of this continent some sort of Vanu tech. Is it okay if I like?
Yeah,
cool
it's
with
fine
that?
to say it like
Okay.
that. Yeah, but that's
And-
what's attracting the three factions to this place, even
Right.
though there's no warp gates.
Yeah, and actually well, okay, so it's in the water. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about it, but it
Okay.
has to happen
Okay,
because
okay.
I want to explain. So so there's a submersed Vanu artifact, whatever it is, right? And it's emitting some sort of some energy or radiation or leaking it out into the water that surrounds Oshur. And actually, as the maybe I don't know, the water gets it rains out over the continent, you'll see that some of the flora is kind of it's tainted in some way. Maybe not in a bad way, just changed a little bit. So there's a heavy emphasis on Araxium, and you can see that the trees are very. This reminds me of Ashenvale. Like the trees are, changed, and some of the roots that you'd normally see sticking up out of the ground have these spires of Araxium, and everything kind of, there's glowy elements. Actually, this is all these props are placeholder for now. And I totally need to rebalance some of the glows and the lighting and get the colors in tune. But don't look at this. Close your eyes. Okay.
You didn't get a second take on that one.
It
Nope,
wasn't
nope.
catastrophic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just leave out of frustration. But yeah, you can see this particular area is realistically it might be too prop dense, but it's meant to be somewhat infantry centric, in that you have a kind of a close range fight. It's a little bit more difficult for vehicles to move around in, but most of the majority of the map is very vehicle centric. But yeah, so the terrain is going to change a lot. Different biomes. We're looking at lush jungles and like hot springs, and maybe some environmental hazards. I know. What? You good? Good with environmental hazards?
I'm very good with
Yeah?
environmental hazards.
That's the thing we can. Okay.
I would love to see more environmental hazards in
Yeah.
our game.
Actually, Nick recommended it. I was waiting for a reaction, but I didn't.
No,
get it. It's
no,
fine.
I just like that because that's obviously a good idea.
But community, it's obviously a good idea. But yeah, this island is, or this chain of islands is, the entire continent is the size of Indar, so the biggest continent. You can see the bastions in the air. The visibility right now is kind of it's freaking out, so you'll see things blipping in and out, but and it's also kind of causing that hitching too. So these conditions are very very similar to live at the moment.
Hilarious.
Sorry.
Hilarious.
I am hilarious. You are right. So, but yeah, that's Oshur in a nutshell. Is we're gonna have an island continent, and you're not gonna be able to traverse around the map very easily, like very air centric. You know, it would be nice